wonder what Kid Rock thinks of all this. Shit. I've got an album to review. Sweet Southern Sugar. What's up, guys? This is Aster. So I'm going to talk about Kid Rock again after a few years. So we're going to get to reviewing Sweet Southern Sugar from 2017. So way back in the summer of that year, I reviewed the song that was released as a single, Greatest Show on Earth, but this was the subsequent album that I never got to from back then. So Kid Rock put out an album. For a while there, he was running for politics, or at least making a prank version of doing that. And it was interesting back then. I mean, back in 2017, I was obsessed with the song Greatest Show on Earth. But I also remember that there were two songs. The other one was Podunk. And I think that song right there, Podunk, was part of the reason why I didn't review Kid Rock in 2017. Because I actually do like that song now, but I would probably not have reviewed it that well back in 2017. It kind of has grown on me, and I think that shows. This album kind of blindsides you, and that's the situation. But before we really get into like the meat of that project, I'm just gonna kind of say a few more things about this. We'll start with the singles. So basically, Kid Rock had went country. For those who are not completely aware, or just maybe just to make sure if you're curious, Kid Rock has been country since at least 2003, 2007. And I reviewed the Rock and Roll Jesus album, but that really had one of his biggest hits ever with All Summer Long. And ever since that album, it just is every single time, it's like there's got to be some country songs on there. And most of the time, it's going to outdo the Rock songs. It's just what he's known for nowadays. The Kid Rock from 1998, 1999 is just pretty much not coming back. It did come back, but it's really in a very seasoned amount. It's just used as like a spice at this point. And that's the thing. So the majority of this album is just country. Some of them power ballads, some of them just sprawling backyard, not a care in the world type songs, something like that. I mean, for me, it's difficult to kind of identify with country just because, when you think of like tempo of type songs, when they just all feel like slow songs, I mean, the people who are, proficient in country music would probably say, oh, this is your clean the house song, this is your backyard song, this is your dance song. But some of these just kind of get, like I was saying, hard to identify, and that's kind of the situation with two of the singles, Tennessee Mountaintop and then American Rock and Roll, which are rather identical. I'd probably have to say that American Rock and Roll reminds me more of Only God Knows Why, but I think that's probably the more polished one of the two. Tennessee Mountaintop feels more like All Summer Long. I mean, they're both country, but yeah, the American Rock and Roll one felt better. And so, I mean, really, Kid Rock is pretty good at doing like a power ballad. I know pretty, it's not really a good word to use, but he's skilled in doing like power ballads, but it seemed like, I don't know. I mean, maybe he did that back on his 2007 album in 2010, but I think that the best one to say as a power ballad would probably be American Rock and Roll, but it just felt so lazy. And that's just kind of the thing about it. I mean, power ballads typically are something for a vehicle, something for a concert, something for a stadium that just kind of echoes throughout the whole, land that it's in, and it just feels like everyone is singing along in conjunction. But it just felt somewhat strange. I mean, I don't know. I was not entirely tuned into some of these songs just because I felt like the best moments were the kind of country rock, country hip hop type songs, which is basically what Kid Rock became. He's not really so much new metal this time as much as he's just doing like country rock, kind of the stuff that you would think Uncle Kracker did, but just a more, someone in their 40s doing it. And he refers to that kind of by calling a song Grandpa's Jam. So, but yeah, so me talking about the singles, Greatest Show on Earth is kind of like So Hot off of Rock and Roll Jesus, and it's also kind of like Ba with the Ba, and maybe a couple songs off of the Cocky album. So that's the best song on here, Greatest Show on Earth. But the second best is actually Podunk, which is kind of similar to his Cowboy song off of Devil Without a Cause, which I'm kind of glad that he kind of did like a revisit to those type songs, just because I did like Cowboy. I mean, I kind of have my phases where some days or some months I don't like it and some months I do. It usually has to do with me hearing it on the radio to remind me. But Podunk, apart from being a song for like Billy Bob's Everywhere, it's extremely country. I mean, that's the thing. It's a mid tempo, up tempo country song that's not quite like sing. I mean, it feels more like kind of like a dancing kind of country song, which is kind of the situation. It's not just lazy and you want to fall asleep to or something like that. It actually felt like, motivated drinking type, that style music, which I respect that, just because I figured Kid Rock was just going to give us just a bunch of just slow songs the whole way through. But that, I mean, if he would have done more songs like Podunk, not so much, to that degree. I mean, he signifies a lot of country on here. If it would have been more songs like that, but just more in the vein of like Cowboy, Cowboy, it can be country, but it just is not as obscene about it. So that's kind of the thing. But just talking, Podunk is a good song, but if we would have gotten more songs like Podunk, that would have been rather good. But it was just 10, the album's only 10 songs, so it just felt like there could only be so much. But Grandpa's Jam is the third song out of the 10 that I like, and that really felt like a revisit to Devil Without a Cause. It felt like just like any of the album cuts off that project. I Am the Bull God, some song like that. It wasn't a single, but it probably might have been able to hold up if maybe it had a different name. This happens to be the thing there, but this is kind of the main situation. So, yeah, so I like 2 out of the 4 singles. Podunk and Greatest Show on Earth. The other ones, I mean, maybe over time I could see myself liking American Rock and Roll, but it's just not as fun as Only God Knows Why. I mean, that was a power ballad, considering Kid Rock was in his 20s when he did that. And it felt slow, but the emotion behind it was more this tangible, to like just paying attention to how much like you like the speed of the song and how much you appreciate country. But I do like the idea behind, at least trying to do like that type of stadium songs. That's kind of the thing. So yeah, I'm going to give this album a 3.5 out of 10, just because I like the effort and I like the fact that Kid Rock actually returned to somewhat, it's more country hip hop more so than rap or rap rock. But I still like the fact that he did it. And, when he actually does up-tempo songs and is not just kicking back, when he's actually having some energy and, motivated a bit, it does have the charm that I remember from Kid Rock. As is kind of the situation. I mean, with 10 songs, I mean, he's been dropping just 10 songs for a while, considering he's been here since the early 90s. But, maybe 12 would have, maybe we would have gotten like an extra song or something. It would have been 4 out of 12 or something like that. Maybe 5. I mean, really, when you get a 12-song album, most people these days just like 4 or 5 or something. But, to like 3 out of 10, I mean, that's good. But it just felt like very brief to have so many songs that you didn't like. That's what, I feel like maybe Stand the Pain could have been replaced with like some sort of mid-tempo country song, and then maybe I Wonder, which was close to what I was just describing, probably could have had a. I mean, that song just kind of was messy and broke it into segments, but I did like the production on I Wonder. So that was about as close as it got, but just something that just kind of changed the speed to where it's not just a bunch of all summer long, but then kind of, just, too many love songs in that department. So that's just kind of the thing. I mean, when you look at Kid Rock, I mean, mostly these days it's probably country women who are over the age of 40 or 45 that are buying his music nowadays that are, standalone and, you know, loyal Kid Rock fans. So this is tough. It seems tough describing his audience anymore because the ones from Ba with the Ba probably moved on. But I'm glad that there's enough to say that I'm glad that there's enough to still have some of these revisits because Kid Rock is only on the rock charts like once every 4 or 5 or 6 years or something. So it's just kind of I'm glad for the idea of seeing him back, but then also it's a good thing to be able to get him back in the swing of rock music because he is not really a stranger to rock, and I don't think he should be considered that. And this is something to remember. But yeah, this album gets a 3 out of 10, so I'm really not too proud of this album, but I am impressed with the fact that I like Podunk more than I thought I would, minus the fact that that's an extremely country song, but it is up tempo, and I do like that about that. So Greatest Show on Earth, Podunk are the best songs on here, and then Grandpa's Jam was kind of the surprise. So 3 out of 10 for rock fans for rap fans who remember Kid Rock. I mean, really, there's not too many songs that have any sort of Devil Without a Cause vibes. So just know that.